Hello. Thank you for being here and welcome to Monday Mavericks here at OCD Gamechangers. My name is Chrissy Hodges. I'm the executive director and founder of OCD Gamechangers, and I am the host of Fireside Fridays and Maverick Mondays. Yay! So, really quickly before I have my guest introduce himself, although he probably doesn't need any introduction because all of you people know him. Just wanted to say that OCD Gamechangers is a 501c3 nonprofit. So please consider donating to our nonprofit. I do want to say we had some focus groups. We started this new initiative with focus groups trying to create solutions to big barriers in our community, financial, cultural barriers, education and training, creating an accurate resource and referral list off of our website. And we have some amazing initiatives. I can't believe it's only taken 2 focus groups to see the creativity from these therapists. And we are going to be looking for donations and for your support in order to get these up and running, especially at the beginning of January 2021. So please go to OCD Gamechangers and consider a donation or a sponsorship of Maverick Mondays or Fireside Fridays. And if you'd like more information about the initiatives coming up, please email me at ocdgamechangers@gmail.com. And thank you already for your donations if you have already donated. We really, really appreciate it. Now, oh, hello, look at all these people. Hey, Margaret. And there's Bree, and there's Jacques. Am I saying that right? Jacques. I hope I'm saying that right. It sounds French. Oh, no, he says he's from Sydney. Oh, Lord, I probably really said it wrong. But thank you for being here.
Yeah.
So with that, I'm going to have Jackie. Well, the QU threw me off. And there's Caroline. Hey. With all of Sean's fans on here, I'm going to have him introduce himself. Who are you, Sean?
Oh, man, you make that introduction look so good. Yeah, I mean, you didn't even use a script for that stuff, and there's like no stuttering your words. And I'm up here about to like say something, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to stutter this stuff. But no, so thank you for having me on. My name is Sean, and I am an OCD advocate. I am a project developer. I developed the Draw Your Monster project and am continuing to develop it and looking for different ways or routes that it's going to go. So kind of that's in maintenance. I'm on the board of directors for OCD Massachusetts, and we do great things out here in Massachusetts. I'm an artist. I work at McLean Hospital as the advocacy coordinator and creative specialist. I like to play basketball. I'm all around a good guy. I'm kind of tall. I'd be happy to have a conversation with you. Ever give me a call. I'm drinking tea. Life is good today, sort of. It's not really life. I would say life today is okay. Life is okay. We're here. So
good. I do want to point out that Jackie is actually a woman, and she is the woman but we can't see that, Jackie, because the big Facebook F is in the way. So all we see
it's got the Facebook on it. Yeah, it does. Yeah.
And that's why we thought you were a dude. Anyway, Sean, I love all the guests that come on, but I always really love sitting with somebody that I've just known for a really long time and just been through a ton in regards to advocacy. Sean and I first met, I think we first met in Chicago. Was that when we first met?
I knew of you, about you. I don't know. I mean, I like good things. I heard of your name, and then that's when Allison Dodson put together our panel early in January of 2016. And she's like, Chrissy Hodges is going to sit with us and talk about intrusive thoughts and all that fun stuff. And I was like, sweet, I get to meet Chrissy Hodges. So I don't know if I had seen you at an earlier. I don't know if you were in Boston. Were you at the Boston conference at all?
I was at the Boston conference.
I think maybe that's why I heard your name or I saw you and I was like, maybe I should introduce myself. I was probably too nervous or something. And then Allison Dodson put together our panel for 2016, and then we met officially in 2016. And that's when I first started to tell you, like, hey, Chrissy, I'm really nervous, but I'm ready to do it. Remember every time that you have me do something, I go up to you and tell you I'm nervous?
Yes, and every time I'm like, whatever.
It's a
They'll do
complete
great. Everybody
no,
will
what
love
it
you.
is, it's a complete confession. It's like a compulsion. It's like I'm just gonna like say that I'm like nervous, so in case I tank, she won't feel as bad. So I actually should stop saying that. I should just say nothing and just take the exposure on. So, but yeah,
Hashtag stop compulsions.
yes, hashtag stop compulsions. But you and I, we've known each other, so that's really about 4 years, and then we really got to know each other very well when you invited me to your first OCD Gamechangers event, which was absolutely amazing. Obviously, by now, I think most people know about OCD Gamechangers, so I'm not going to sit up here and be like, oh, it's so amazing, because people know it was amazing. But it really was a groundbreaking watershed moment for me to be a part of, to speak my story, but also get to meet a lot of other advocates and people who are doing big things in the community. So I've felt close to Chrissy and her projects for about 3 years now, whether I've been directly a part of it or like last year where I just showed up. I did the Draw Your Monster thing in the basement, and I just was there for support, and that was a lot of fun too. So
yeah, and we'll probably have you back out this year, although we don't have finalized details yet.
it'll figure itself out. It'll figure itself out.
Right? I think it's actually a good opportunity, really quick, if people are listening and you're probably like, what are the Game Changer events? I think a lot of people are really confused about that. They think, is it a conference? Is it this? If you want, I can just really quickly tell like what happened that first time.
Please do. Yeah, I'd love to. And if I can share any kind of if you want to share it, I'll share my story of it. Yeah.
When we started Game Changers, and Margaret's on here too, she's on my board, and she was out here the first year. I was feeling the need for myself as an advocate, and I knew I had a lot of friends that were advocates, and we just felt like we were kind of flailing out there with not a base support. And so on the way home from the what was the San Francisco conference, I was crying on the plane. Yeah. And I remember thinking, I just can't go a full year without seeing all these amazing people that inspire me. And so I thought, when I got home, it took me about a month to convince myself to do it. And I convinced myself everyone would say no, so it didn't matter. And I sent out an email to Sean and Margaret and 6 or 7 other people, including Neil, because I wanted him to co-host with me.
That's right.
And I said, hey, why don't I have y'all all come out to Denver? I will pay for your Airbnb, and to offset the cost, we will have an event during the night. I had no idea how to even plan an event at that point. And I said, and then we'll spend all day doing a mastermind group. And everybody, and I was like, a mastermind group is where you get together like-minded individuals and you spend time being able to share what you're doing. You get input, you get, help with obstacles. You talk about barriers, things like that. And so I had no idea, y'all. I was like, I'll just throw it out there. I threw it out there to Stuart Ralph in the UK. I had just met Stu in wherever we were, in San Francisco.
Yeah.
And every damn person, including Stu, wrote back and said, when is it? What's the date? Where do I book the flight?
That's awesome. It's not every day that you have an event and 100%, 10 out of 10 people get back to you and be like, shit. All right, tell me where to show up. I'll do it.
When Stu said yes, I was like, oh no. Because I thought if we have people in the States, I could just cancel it if it was awful. And Stu was like, yes. So that's true. Yeah. And so everybody came out. It was just people, I think, kind of in the infancy of their advocacy, who now are really big advocates in the community. Aaron Harvey was another big one. Yeah. I did not know Aaron Harvey at all. And I literally wrote this guy and I'm like, hey, I'm Chrissy. Will you come out? And when his assistant wrote me back and said he would, I was like, I think I cried.
Because he was doing big things. I know it's made of millions now, but it was intrusivethoughts.org back then.
It was. And you know how he is. He's like that mysterious, and so I was like, oh my God, he's going to come out here. But it was invaluable. And so, just quickly, and I'd love to get your input on it too. For those of you that are watching that are like, well, what's the point of that? And I always say, like, the meat and potatoes of the Game Changer weekend is the mastermind. Is the time that the people who are speaking get to spend together, and grow in their relationships and their advocacy, and they walk away with tons of ideas and just kind of this renewed feeling of, oh, I can change the world. And in the coming years, that's why I want to do pop-up events when COVID's over. So many people in different areas and different towns can experience this without just having the invite for Game Changers. The event is amazing. And we really cater it to the people that are there, but it's kind of the icing on the cake for the people that get to spend the weekend. So it's a magical event.
Yeah, that's the way that I was looking at it. I always looked at the event, the with the audience and us telling our stories as kind of the celebration of the mastermind.
Yes.
Of the mastermind coming together that like propels us to get up on that. I mean, we would have all done it anyways, but the mastermind part, the melding of the minds that happens a day before or the day. I think the first year we did it the day of.
We did.
I remember we did it the day of. It was right before, but like I remember telling you that I needed that so much that day, because I got up there and what Chrissy had us do was we all individually got up and we talked about our advocacy projects that we were working on. Not only talked about it, but we basically were asking for advice, asking for help. It was a way to collaborate. It was a way of talking about the history, how we got started. So everybody who like knew a little bit about each other really got to know a lot about each other. And then we're like, all right, I see a place where you can improve. I can help you there, or like that. And so I got up there. I was already nervous about the night coming up to be on stage and talk. I remember getting
As I recall, I think you were one of the last masterminders to go.
Somewhere in there. I don't know. You threw me in there somewhere, and I needed that cathartic experience to get up in front of about 7, 8, 9 of my peers, and I bawled my eyes out. And I remember I needed that, and I got so much inspiration, got so much tension out, but like that bonding experience going into the actual event, like really skyrocketed me into a place where like I really felt comfortable telling my story, because that was really the first time that I had told my story like that. I think maybe ever. Like I hadn't done it for the ISCDF. Wow. I mean, we had talked on a panel, but it hadn't been just me up on a stage telling my story for like, I think you gave us a time limit and I totally went over about 4 minutes, but that was the first time that
nobody cares about my time limits ever.
No. And so that was the first time that I got up there and I told my story and I was all about that. And I didn't cry. I was pumped with energy, but little that the audience knew that I had just bawled my eyes out about 4 hours beforehand and got it all out. So, but that, really me just saying that doesn't do the mastermind justice. Being a part of it the second time around, I got even more out of it. Honestly, I felt closer. I felt more comfortable talking about things out loud and asking for help. And it was it's an amazing idea. And the core tenet of that entire event to me is that mastermind program, or the programming of the masterminds. So
yeah. And hello to everybody who's joining us. There's Jessie Paris Smith. Hi. I've yet to meet, but I know that you're good friends with her. Mark Johnson from Sydney. Hello.
Margaret. Yeah.
And then Margaret is saying the mastermind was magical. What a special time it was. Margaret was there. It was really phenomenal. Good. And there's Mackenzie. And then there's Lori. Hi, Lori. Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. We're just to catch you up. We're talking about what the Game Changer events are. And Sean has been to all 3 of them. And I, just so you know, the board and I haven't solidified yet what we're doing for our event. It's usually the first weekend in March because selfishly, that's my birthday.
That's right.
Nobody really knows that, but that's why I
That's
always
right.
have it then. So everybody comes for my birthday. But this year we're going to push it back. We're going to do it later in the spring with COVID and everything. We really want to make sure that we have enough time. I have some ideas of what I think we're going to do, but we are going to keep the integrity of the mastermind intact, especially with alumni. So let's continue that conversation with with all that and like kind of the history of Game Changers and all the stuff that you've been through and what has evolved into what you're doing now in advocacy. And I love, by the way, that Game Changers has really been part of that because that's actually what the masterminds are for. Like you go, you get inspiration, you create this community and support like no other, and then you walk out of there and go, I can change the world. And I feel like that's the path you're on, Sean.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, really. So, all right. So to go back to, I think it was 2017 was the first year, I think. And I had presented
2018 was the first mastermind.
Was that the first year? Okay. 2018 was the first year. So I presented Draw Your Monster to the other advocates there, really having only it being kind of an idea in my head. I had done a lot of artwork and merchandise for it. I had done the project twice before for an organization here in Boston, and then I did it at the 2016 conference. I was still trying to identify what the hell I wanted to be. And after presenting at the OCD Gamechangers mastermind, I started to get a better idea, and I started to kind of reel everything in and kind of get more of a strategy. So people were telling me, all right, so you've got an idea that suits your skill set while also helping other people. And I'm like, yeah, okay. But I'm not sure what the direction is, everything. So I started to talk to people about direction and really developing things, especially content. So since then, it's still not exactly where I want it to be. There's still a lot to go because it's still kind of a one-man show. And that's the next step, is to bring people on to do fundraising similar to what you have done, Chrissy, is really start to like expand and get the help that I needed. But since it was just kind of like, all right, we're going to draw on a piece of paper some monsters, and I'm going to run you through some challenges, and I'm going to tell you about this thing and whatever, it's turned into me doing workshops and private practices. It's turned into me taking the little piece of lanyard that I used to have people draw their monsters on and turned it into an actual monster card where I'm printing it out now, and on the back. So this is an ID badge card now that people get, and it's upside down. So
we need those at Game Changers next year.
So people will draw their monster and they will send it to me, and I will print it like an ID badge, and on the front, so full color, and then on the back will be their value or something that's important to them as I'm making everybody kind of dizzy. But
look, my wheels are turning about how we're going to use this at Game Changers.
I know.
And
it's turned into I've developed monster boxes, so eventually it's going to be a subscription-based send away thing where people can get their monster kit or their monster box quarterly, and they'll be able to do a bunch of boxes and a bunch of games. I'm trying not to duplicate what people are already doing really, really well. Like you're doing like resources and events. You're doing that amazingly. Like there's so many places that have so many really, really good resources. So I'll always have some sort of resource. But what I'd really like to develop is, and I have it all drawn out, is an application, an app, a phone app maybe, but really an online tool that people can use in conjunction with their therapy. So with their therapist or some sort of guardian that maybe unlock different levels, especially if they're a kid, because Draw Your Monster, I'd like it to be for everybody, but usually adolescents and kids are drawn towards it because of it's an expressive art event and it's kind of cool and monstery and stuff like that. I'm actually going to develop a series of comics that's going to illustrate different scenarios of how to, and all this is really in the same guise as acceptance and commitment therapy, which really helped me kind of mindfulness, being in the moment. Yes, yes, exactly. Monsters on the bus. Exactly. So all these things. So the idea. So what I really want to do, and it has to do with these cards as well, is part of Draw Your Monster that I haven't been able to build yet is not just do I want people to flesh out or imagine or feel something that's scary to them and then put it on paper in a cathartic kind of in a way of like being able to accept it and then share space with their value on the back. Not only do I want people to do that, but I also want them to take this and do something with it. So have it in their pocket, have it in their purse, have it in their wallet, while they go and do something. It doesn't have to be a hard thing. It just has to be a thing that they do in life that is sometimes hard for them. So when I was really in the bottomless pit hole of hell that OCD was, doing anything was very, very difficult. Like I felt like I couldn't have fun because I was carrying these things with me. The fear, the intrusive thoughts, the feelings, the urges. So I really want people to know that they can go out and live a value-driven life while having these things along with them, but they don't have to get the power that they used to be able to do. Understandably so. I was there. I knew why I was giving it power. I thought that was the way to fight it, with compulsions and rituals and give it stuff like that. So what I want to do is a QR code or magnetic strip so they go into local businesses and incentivize them getting out of their houses after COVID. And maybe they get a discount on a cup of coffee or they get some free popcorn. So not only do you get your Monster card, but you also get a way of going into places and kind of rejuvenating a sense of self in a way by behavioral activation in a way.
I love that.
So I really wanted to combine that with the cards, but also having kind of Draw Your Monster events where they do the artwork, but then we also have like a dance party. Like people go out and have fun with their monster in tow. As sort of an exposure where they've just drawn something that potentially represents something that's really, really scary to them, and then have the audacity to go have fun. Like what a better way to diffuse and deflate a monster like that. So I want to get more into not like events that you're having, or even the IUCDF or in other organizations. I got an idea to do a 3-on-3 basketball tournament, which is kind of like more of a me Draw Your Monster thing, where we would have teams draw their monsters and put it on their jerseys while they play basketball and have music.
We can always do those at OCD Gamechangers.
At OCD Gamechangers or collaboration. So there's a lot of I'm looking on my other screen here. There's a lot. I wrote down a lot of things I want to get into. It's just doing it. What I just need to do is the first thing, not after this, but eventually, is start to strategize, getting a website, getting some help, and fundraising, and I'll be even closer than I was 4 years ago or 2 years ago at OCD Gamechangers, or one year ago at OCD Gamechangers, or even 5 months ago where I was here during the COVID. So it's been a slow process. Again, I've got to do work first and pay the rent, but in my time off, nights and weekends, I'm trying to build this the best that I can. And the video monster sessions that I've been doing have been really helpful as well. So I've done these video monster sessions where I kind of guide people through drawing a monster or getting comfortable with what a blank piece of paper might look like, getting over perfectionism, and then at the end we have kind of a monster just tell a story about. So right now it's a lot of like content driven things that I'm doing in hopes of being able to have some sort of audience when I'm there to like really flesh this out, if that all makes sense. I don't know if I was talking in circles. So if you have any questions, let me know.
No, two things. First of all, if one of the things that you said is really important, that people just think about draw your monster and they think it's, oh, well, if you're a kid or, oh, if you're an adolescent, then this is something creative. Well, I just happen to have my monster.
Whoa, get out of here. No way.
I attended a draw your monster session that you had. It was a couple weeks ago and I have no drawing skills, none. But what I did was, this is going to sound cheesy, but I guess you do what you have to do, is I took a photo while we were doing Draw Your Monster of what I felt like my face looks like when I'm stuck.
Yeah.
And to me, I struggle with committing to the world. I actually had my physical therapist one time. I hate talking about it because sometimes I cry, but I won't cry tonight. I had a migraine earlier today, so there's no crying about anything with that. But I had a physical therapist say to me one time, because I have all these injuries and I keep getting, and she was like, Chrissy, do you know what ACT is? And I was like, yes, I know what ACT is. And she was like, she said, your problem is you don't commit. She was like, to accepting the reality of the anxiety and the, what you live with, and committing to standing forward and leaning into the world. And she said that, and I just stared at her, and then I left and went and sat in the car and cried because she was right. And I was angry that she pointed it out. But I was,
I just said, how interesting. That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And, but since then, it's always on my radar, and I have to continually work not to pull back in life, but to pull forward physically. So I drew this. I can't believe I want to show y'all. It's so ugly. I drew this, the hair. Okay, can you see? Uh-oh.
Yeah, wait. It's a little washed out, but.
What light? Okay.
Oh, yeah. Hey, there it is. Oh, my God.
See the hair?
Okay, so, Chrissy.
So this is the world right here. And this is me. And I'm leaning back with my hands up because I get afraid to commit. And the things like on my face are the wrinkles, like on the top there.
This is great. And by the way, you draw hands way better than I can ever draw hands. For someone who claims not to be an artist and sucks at art, any artist who knows about drawing hands, those hands are pretty darn good. So here's your mission if you choose to accept it. You don't have to, but this can be something that you do is you take your art piece and will you send it to me so I can make your own monster card?
Yes.
You have to send me a value and what's important so I can put it on the back so it can share the same space of something that scares you or makes you uncomfortable, and then I'll send it back to you. Okay.
I will do this. So how do we send it to you? Where?
So this is the logistical thing that I need to figure out. But so what's best if you have a scanner? That works best. Scan it in and just send it to me through JPEG over Gmail to my Gmail sshinnock@gmail.com. And what I will do is I'll take the image and then I won't edit any kind of your artwork, but I'll just make it a little bit more bold and contrasty so it looks better on the card. And then I'll produce the card. Some people have taken their picture of it and send it to me. It's a lot easier when it's scanned in for my work, but like whatever people can do is fine. Yeah, perfect. And
so if you create I'm going to do this, by the way. I'm going to have Sean help me, my husband help me Scan it over. I'll scan it tonight and I'll do it. Because I'm going to tell you, I've had this here since the session and
Okay.
it's up in my office. And I think about this, especially every day when I run, because
So
running is so hard for me because I pull back
this
while
is
I'm running, and
so
that's where the
good.
injuries
I'm
happen.
glad we're talking about this. All right. So once you get your card back in the mail, I'm going to give you
I have to take
challenges.
it running.
I'm going to give you challenges to take your card, your monster now, and you're going to take this running with you. You're going to hang it in your car and you're going to see it dangling
All
in front of
right.
you. You're going to put it on your keychain just like I do. But the cool thing about this is it, just like cards, it kind of flips over. And sometimes what you see is your value.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes
Oh,
you see this.
and I need the reminder.
And it reminds you,
I need the reminder.
that part of you, part of the human experience is this value that goes right alongside with the things that scare you. So yeah, this might be on one side, but just like the human experience, it's complex and dynamic. So there's a duality. There's values and hope on the other side. So remember, when you're running and you see your monster, remember that this is going to flip over a couple times. You're going to see your value, and you're going to remember why you're running.
I'll do it.
All right.
This is good. And then I'll take a photo of myself with my badge on in the middle of the
Well,
woods.
that's what I want to try to do. Once I get a blankety blank GD, all the cuss words website going.
Well, you need to talk to my husband.
Well, that's what I want to do. I want to have an online gallery, and I want to have a discussion and dialogue about people's monsters and share stories and all that fun stuff. And it's in the works. We're going to make it happen, but
I think it's good. Like, I actually feel anxiety about it, but I'm going to do it anyway. And I think that's the whole challenge of it, is to feel anxious, but then make the commitment and do it anyway. I'm going to tell you, like, I went into, I'm just going to be transparent. I went into the draw your monster thing and I was like, this is going to be ridiculous because I don't know how to draw. My monster's going to be stupid. But then the more you talked about it, the more I realized I don't think that this person on the sheet is a monster, but I do think the monster inside of me makes me want to believe I'm only frozen in that spot, which is back, like literally with my hands up, like back with the world, and I don't engage with it. And most people that know me well know I struggle with that for a lot of different reasons.
Yeah, the thing about this project is, I never created it thinking that I wanted people to make a face for their OCD or make or identify with a monster. I just thought I grew up loving monsters and beasts and creatures and everything like that. And I always was really intrigued by like how like paradoxical they could be. Like some could be very fluffy and fun, and some, a lot of the monsters you see in some of the cute cartoons and Pixar and stuff like that are really engaging. Some are horrifying and scary. So I always thought it was a really good, I want people to remember a couple things that, this is entirely a fun metaphor and an analogy for, something that gives us fear. So it's a way of expressing ourselves in a way. So, what I tell people is that, when people take their monsters, it's not like, when people wear this around their neck, it's not a noose. It's not something that's holding you down. It's a declaration of your own empowerment.
Mm-hmm.
And you seeing your monster. And my problem growing up, my problem with OCD always was I always wanted to deny it, or I was afraid of it. I was scared, and I was afraid of my thoughts. And I didn't. And I come from a long line of people who just like to sweep things underneath the rug. And I was tired of doing that.
Mm-hmm.
I was tired of keeping my monster under the bed or in the closet. It was time for me to, like, again, I'm not asking people to like their monster. You don't have to make friends with your monster. Some people like to. They like to draw.
Well, I have compassion for this monster. Like I look at her and I think that embodies like the last 2 years of my life, and I want to hold her and 100%. Say it's okay. let me help you lean into the world.
You are hitting it on a nail on the head, Chrissy, with the compassion, because that's what I say. You know, with this is it's a compassion-driven exercise. Your act of giving your monster kindness and compassion, is you giving yourself kindness and compassion.
Yeah.
How important is that?
Well, I didn't know until recently.
And it's one of those things where, like, you can't fight it until you see it. Mm-hmm. It's got to be out in the moment, or out in the moment. I'm so used to saying moment, in the present moment. It's so out, you know. Get it out there, get it out in the space, and let yourself see it and be uncomfortable with it, because then you can change your perspective on it. You can change how you feel about it. You know, when it's hidden, when it's kind of like puppeteering you in the background, that's when you kind of give it control. And I was so afraid to, like, see my fears and, like, admit that I was having a problem. But as soon as I, like, started to, like, accept that I had all these things going on, like, that's when a lot of growth started to happen. And that's what I wanted to share with people with this project, is that you can put your fears down on paper and see them and have them right in front of your face. You can change the way that you respond to them. And this is going to be a way to grow and get and go stronger and be more resilient. You know, again, the caveat and the disclaimer is this isn't intended to be therapy, and if you want true acceptance and commitment therapy and ERP and all that stuff like that, please go to the professionals and the experts. This is supposed to be an experiential piece, but I wanted people to be to have some sort of exposure or introduction to things that have helped me. And if it's something that they liked, if the philosophy was like, I kind of, you know, I wasn't sure about this in the beginning, but, like, I kind of see what he's talking about. There are resources that they can then go to, whether it's peer support or, you know, a counselor, or a therapist, or a professional, that they can really then dive more deeper into some of these therapeutic models. And again, I know that we're strapped for time. We've been talking for a lot. This is an art exercise that's not about the art. You know, this is not about drawing the best monster. This is not drawing, like, the best cool looking you know, a lot of people have just drawn colors that represented and that was their monster, and that's totally okay. And I know people, that's one of the barriers that I've seen people, or I've started to see, is that people get wrapped up in being a good artist and drawing. I'm not a good drawer. This project is about the experience and just acting in a way that's kind to yourself and expressing yourself outward. And if that monster on that day is a bunch of scribbles with a red crayon, then damn it, that's what it is today. You know?
So if people are listening to this and they're like, I want this in my practice, or I want this in my house, or I want this somehow, what do they do?
Get a hold of me at shinnock@gmail.com and I'll talk to you about it. So again, I've been in private practices. I've been at some hospitals. I do have a workshop, and so it's something that I can definitely do. And an additive element that I've added to the project actually is, some people, whether they're artists or not, or whatever, some people just don't feel like drawing their monster at that time, or they'd actually prefer it to be developed by someone else. And so what I'll do is I'll do breakout rooms with them, and I'll ask them prompting questions, and we'll have a dialogue about what their monster, or like the symbolism, might look like, and then I'll draw their monster for them.
Nice.
They'll give me permission to do that. So what I'll do is I'll have about a 45-minute session with them where we talk about aspects of their monster. What is it? Heavy? What color is it presenting in your mind? Is it messy? Is it sharp? Is it angular? Is it soft? And then I go through and I develop their monster for them. I get their monster card. So I've done that several times where people are just like, you know what? I just can't do this. I don't want to do this. I want to take part, but the drawing part is just not what I want to do. Can you help me? And I help them.
Mhm.
So I have breakout sessions where I help them.
That's awesome.
So,
Well, we need to wrap up, but what is it that there might be people out here watching that are like, wow, I didn't realize you could advocate doing something like this. And then all of a sudden they're thinking, well, how do I get to this point? What do I do? What advice would you give to people who have an idea or are looking into getting into advocacy but are scared, like both you and I have been before? What would you tell them to help support them into putting themselves out there to help our community?
well, you're stronger than you think. It's totally understandable to be nervous and not sure what to do. I wasn't sure what to do. I kind of just had some blind faith where like I just took a step and I decided that no matter what that step was, I was going to commit to it. So if you have an idea or if you want to get into talking or something like that, I sometimes say, start out small and practice a little bit and see and get some feedback. But I think no matter what, if you're talking about mental health, if you're sharing your story, if you're engaging online with sessions like this, if you're looking up OCD Gamechangers, you're doing your part in advocacy already. You're already starting. You're already there as an advocate. The next step is maybe devising, thinking about what's important to you. So I always connect things back to values and interests. And so I looked at my values and interests when I was starting Draw Your Monster and decided that, all right, I really think monsters are cool. And I really dig self-compassion and compassion for others. So how can I combine those two? So maybe doing kind of a survey or an audit in the very beginning and be like, all right, what am I kind of all about? And then how can I extrapolate on that a little bit? I don't know if this is helping or making people more confusing, but
no, it's good.
That's kind of where I was. And the cool thing about this community is there's a lot of people looking to help people. And so if you are stuck on something or you're not sure what to do, you want to do something, there's a lot of great organizations that you could be a part of. OCD Gamechangers, Hard Quirk, Draw Your Monster,
Made of Millions.
There's a lot of places that you could start being an advocate, maybe working with some other people before you go out on your own. That's another way. Is that there's a lot of support out there. If you want.
Well, and that's a good segue into just to close. Thank you, Sean, for being here so much. I love you. I love hanging out with you.
Thanks for having me.
And just to talk, and I actually was like, oh my God, we have to hurry because my computer's about to die, and that would suck. But
you went 45 minutes. Holy cow.
But just really quickly, this is Sean and I talked about at the very beginning, the foundation of how Gamechangers started. It's a support community for individuals wanting to create community, not only in what they're living with OCD and therapists in what they do and the support, but also a support community if you're stepping out to be an advocate. It's so important to have support. It's so important to have community embrace you and support you, because those first few years, as Sean and I both can attest, are very vulnerable. And putting your projects out there. And if you don't have the support, and if you kind of get rejected from the community, you're going to likely quit. And Gamechangers is here to support what you're doing, to help you grow, to help walk with you. That's not only what our events are, but also all the initiatives we've been doing. And speaking of initiatives, please save the date, December 12th. We are having a big fundraising event. We're doing it alongside Not Alone Notes. They're going to be announcing a brand new initiative they're doing. We're bringing back 20-something people from the COVID fireside chats, the original ones, and everybody's going to come back and check in. It's incredible. Every single person said yes. So it's going to be an all-night event. Everybody's going to speak for just a few minutes. So you may click on, at the beginning and you're watching someone from Eastern Standard Time. And at the very end, you're watching Pacific Standard Time. It's going to be So much fun. So go there. Huh?
Oh no, just I didn't mean to interrupt. I thought you were done. I was going to say one more thing, but you continue. You finish.
So that's Saturday, December 12th. It's going to be in the evening. So please save the date for that. And also, if you're interested in groups, we have an AMA, and we also have an AMA with Aaron Harvey this Thursday. Go to ocdpeers.com. And Dr. Stephen Phillipson, December 15th, AMA through ocdpeers.com.
Yeah, he's a
yeah. Before we close, Sean?
No, I totally forgot to bring up OCD Gamechangers open mic night.
Yes.
And how magical that was. That's so.
My computer might die.
All right, her computer's gonna die, but like, what another? Okay, so I had an amazing experience with the open mic night. I hope that you do it again. It was so good.
We are going to do it again.
We had a lot of people there. It was great, fantastic. So anybody who is watching, and you have music or song or spoken word or poetry or story or whatever,
it was magical.
OCD Gamechangers open mic night was absolutely magical, and I still think about it to this day. I totally forgot to talk about that earlier.
Yeah, the OCD monologues. That's what we call it. And it was.
I'm sorry. OCD monologues. I'm sorry.
Like, it was in the top 5 of my advocacy experiences of my whole career.
Yeah.
And so we're doing it again next quarter. And then lastly, before I literally, it's like the green thing is on and it's flashing.
We're getting off whether you like it or not. It's gonna.
Thank you, Sean, and thank you to all of you who came by and you saw this. This was so much fun. Always glad to have you. We'll have you back. And please consider donating to OCD Gamechangers. We are a 501c3. We do accept your donations, and all donations go toward our initiatives and projects to help build community, to help connect people to hope and resources. And we have tons of really cool stuff coming up. So please be a part of that. Go to OCD Gamechangers and donate now. We will see you the day after Thanksgiving. I will have different hair because I'm getting my hair done the Wednesday before, but we'll be with none other than Mary Torres, my stigma snack maker. You don't want to miss it. Yeah. Thank you, Sean, and thank you to all of you who joined.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.